Who was Naamah? Why is she so scarcely mentioned in the Bible? What was her true influence over King Solomon? These are some of the questions that have intrigued scholars and believers for centuries. Today, we will dive into a fascinating and little-known story that might change your perspective on one of the most important periods in Israel's history. Get ready for a journey filled with mysteries, power, and faith. We will explore the life of Naamah, the Ammonite wife of King Solomon, and uncover the secrets that time has tried to conceal. Naamah is mentioned only once in the Bible, in 1 Kings 14 verse 21, where we read, Rehoboam son of Solomon was king in Judah. He was 41 years old when he became king, and he reigned 17 years in Jerusalem, the city the Lord had chosen out of all the tribes of Israel in which to put his name. His mother's name was Naamah. She was an Ammonite. This brief mention raises more questions than answers. Why did a foreign woman, from a nation traditionally hostile to Israel, become the mother of Solomon's heir? What role did Naamah play in the life of the wisest king who ever lived? To better understand this story, we need to go back in time and examine the historical and cultural context of that era. Solomon was known for his wisdom, but also for his many political alliances sealed through marriages. In 1 Kings 11 verses 1-3, we read, King Solomon, however, loved many foreign women besides Pharaoh's daughter, Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Sidonians, and Hittites. He had 700 wives of royal birth and 300 concubines, and his wives led him astray. Among these foreign women was Naamah, the Ammonite. The Ammonites were descendants of Lot, Abraham's nephew, and had a complicated relationship with Israel. Deuteronomy 23 verse 3 even prohibited the entry of Ammonites into the assembly of the Lord for 10 generations. So how did Naamah not only enter Solomon's court, but also become the mother of his heir to the throne? Some scholars suggest that Naamah may have been an Ammonite princess, offered in marriage as part of a political agreement between Israel and Ammon. This practice was common at the time and served to establish alliances between nations. If this is the case, Naamah would have arrived in Jerusalem not just as a wife, but as an ambassador of her people. But Naamah's story goes beyond her origin. The fact that her son, Rehoboam, became Solomon's heir suggests that she held a prominent position among the king's wives. In a court with hundreds of women, being chosen to bear the future king was not a matter of luck, but of influence and royal favor. This leads us to question, what kind of influence did Naamah exert over Solomon? We know that Solomon's foreign wives led him to worship other gods, as mentioned in 1 Kings 11 verses 4-5. As Solomon grew old, his wives turned his heart after other gods, and his heart was not fully devoted to the Lord his God, as the heart of David his father had been. He followed Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Sidonians, and Molech, the detestable god of the Ammonites. Was Naamah one of the influences that led Solomon away from the God of Israel? Or did she, living in Jerusalem and witnessing Solomon's wisdom and glory, embrace faith in the God of Israel? The Bible doesn't give us direct answers to these questions, but we can make some assumptions based on what we know. The fact that Rehoboam became king suggests that Naamah successfully navigated the complexities of Solomon's court. She must have been a woman of great intelligence and political skill to secure her son's position amid so much competition. Furthermore, the name Naamah in Hebrew means pleasant or sweet. This could be an indication of her personality or how she was perceived in the Israelite court. Perhaps her sweetness and charm won over not only Solomon, but also the people of Israel. However, Naamah's story also reminds us of the dangers of foreign influence on Israel's faith. Solomon's reign, despite its initial glory, ended in division and conflict. Naamah's own son, Rehoboam, eventually lost much of the kingdom due to his lack of wisdom and harsh governance. In 1 Kings 12 verses 13-14, we read about Rehoboam's actions that led to the kingdom's division. The king answered the people harshly, rejecting the advice given him by the elders. He followed the advice of the young men and said, "My father made your yoke heavy. I will make it even heavier. My father scourged you with whips. I will scourge you with scorpions." Did Rehoboam's upbringing by a foreign mother influence his lack of connection with the people of Israel? Or did Naamah try, unsuccessfully, to instill in her son the wisdom she learned in Solomon's court? Naamah's story reminds us that even the most obscure figures in the Bible may have played crucial roles in Israel's history. It invites us to look beyond superficial mentions and consider the deep impact seemingly insignificant individuals may have had. Additionally, Naamah's story challenges us to reflect on our own faith and influences. How do the people around us shape our beliefs and actions? How can we remain faithful to God amid potentially contradictory influences? In Proverbs 31 verse 30, possibly written by Solomon himself, we read, "Charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised." Was Solomon thinking of Naamah when he wrote these words? Did she, despite her foreign origin, become a woman who feared the Lord? Naamah's story reminds us that God's grace can reach people from all backgrounds and nationalities. In Galatians 3 verse 28, the Apostle Paul writes, "There is neither Jew nor Greek, slave nor free, male nor female, for you are all one in Christ Jesus." Although this passage was written long after Naamah's time, it reflects an eternal truth about the inclusive nature of God's love. As we conclude our exploration of Naamah's life, we are left with more questions than answers. But perhaps that's the point. The Bible is full of stories of ordinary people who played extraordinary roles in God's plan, often behind the scenes. Naamah, the Ammonite wife of Solomon and mother of Rehoboam, reminds us that every person has a story to tell, a role to play in the grand drama of divine redemption. Her life challenges us to look beyond appearances, to consider the impact we can have even when we are not in the spotlight. And you, what do you think of Naamah's story? What lessons can we draw from her life for today? How can we balance our cultural influences with our faith? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, exploring the fascinating and often forgotten stories of the Bible. And leave your comments on Naamah and how her story resonates with you. Your perspective may shed new light on this intriguing figure in biblical history. Until the next video, may God's wisdom guide your steps, just as it may have guided Naamah's in a foreign land.